Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang Dhammang Sanghang Namasami. Hello and welcome once again. It is very early in the morning. It's my time. I usually wake 3 a.m. here on India Standard Time, which is the same time as used in Sri Lanka, on this line of latitude, no, longitude. And I thought I'd take this opportunity into my meditation time. I'm normally awake at this hour for meditation, 3 hours before our morning puja at 6 a.m. IST, India Standard Time, or Sri Lanka. So that is coming up. That is live, although you can watch it at any time, of course, to suit your own time zone. Time, clocks, calendars, diaries, appointments are just a convention, but of course they are an essential part of our daily lives, whether we are in the world of commerce, industry, out there earning a living, or whether we're even retired and living the householder life. Our days are governed by time. In monastic life it's somewhat more easy. We have a rather strict routine or schedule, not strict in the restrictive sense, but by living by way of interpretation of a body of rules we call the Vinaya, from the Vinaya Pitaka, the first of the 3 Pali scriptures that are so often referred to in talks. The second being the Sutta Pitaka, and third, the Abhidharma. The higher Dharma, or the commentaries and considerations towards those teachings in the Sutta Pitaka that came later. The most accurate reference we have to the actual word of the Buddha is those words that are contained in the Sutta Pitaka, and there are some very useful and interesting talks you can hear on YouTube. Firstly, reading those suttas to us, whom are very much the beneficiaries of hearing those words that are of such importance, and as close as we can get to hearing the Dharma Desana, the Dharma talk of the Buddha himself. So read by some of those very experienced monks and nuns whom give their time and devote a lot of their energy to the study of those suttas, and then the recitation or reading of them to us is very beneficial indeed. And we're honoured in this modern day and age to have such a convenient medium as this to be able to listen to such talks and readings. I tend not to do that, as it's being done so well already, and I'm not a good reader. I'm preferring to just talk from the heart. When I say heart, I don't mean a love heart or a physical pumping organ, but the mind, the citta, as we refer to it, somewhat akin to a soul, but without the personality. Take away the personality. We so often hear in Buddhist circles, or so-called spiritual arenas, this talk of letting go. People might say, just let go. To some extent that could be a little irritating, couldn't it? If you have a real bugbear, a real problem, an issue you're dealing with, and someone's reply is only, let it go and it'll all be okay. The world isn't all peace and love and tranquility and harmony. The world is, as the Buddha teaches us in those very valuable suttas, suffering. All beings are suffering. But there's not a full stop there. That isn't the blunt, bleak end to it. Because the Buddha teaches us that there is an end to suffering. This we call nirodha, the end of suffering. We establish, though, first the cause, the origination of suffering, what it is that keeps that cause flowing, fueled. And through these teachings we soon learn that that is our own desires, our wanting, and this impression we gain through our external circumstances, and largely through our nurturing, our upbringing from a very early age. As a child, we're told, you have to learn, you have to strive, you have to achieve. Not in the way that the Buddha teaches us to strive diligently, aware of this convention of time. As I repeat, mostly on Uposatha days, the Buddha said, time, Bhikkhu, marches relentlessly on. How well are you spending your time? A question we should continually ask ourselves in reflection. How well are we spending our time? Because this is very much at the root of that cause of suffering, at the root of fueling desire, which is the source of all beings' suffering. It is not that we want to have a non-desirous existence. Far from it. We should desire, we should strive diligently towards maintaining, upholding and developing wholesome states of mind. So acts of loving kindness, metta, of compassion, karuna, natural joyousness for others' success as opposed to envy and jealousy, we call mudita, is how we display, develop these qualities which are displayed or experienced by others, by friends, kalyanamita, noble friends on the path with us, and also those whom are not, those alien to the idea of Buddhism or religion or anything of this nature, can still experience a change in us as we develop our practice, and they can still benefit from our company as our own personal development progresses on this path. So this letting go, what is it? Well, we don't drop all responsibility. We don't go and hide in a cave. Now the Buddha made this a very important part of our rules as bhikkhus. We cannot become hermits, recluses. We cannot disappear into a cave or live in a forest, unsupported by anybody, becoming self-sufficient. This is possible, I've done this myself, to go and live in the wilderness, forage for food, beg, borrow, steal, by whatever means, farm, grow. One can, given relatively minimal circumstances and being satisfied with little, live quite comfortably, independently of the world we refer to as samsara by that means. But no, the Buddha discouraged that, in fact also made it a rule for us bhikkhus that we are dependent on laymen and laywomen. Nuns and monks must not cook even, let alone grow our own food. We're not allowed to dig earth or pick fruit. Even a fruit that has fallen, we're not able, within the governance of the Vinaya, to pick up a mango on the floor and eat it. It must be offered. All food, with the exception of water, everything we consume, everything we have, has to be offered into our hand. Otherwise, it is not allowable. This makes us very much dependent on others. So many people, seeing the monastic life as an escape, can see quite quickly from that it isn't. It is more an immersion into the hands, a surrender into society, as opposed to an escape from it. Because of course without society we cannot exist, not within the bounds of the Vinaya, the body of rules as set down by the Buddha. Now their content goes into thousands of rules, but specifically we have 227 as bhikkhus and 311 for bhikkhunis that are there to answer all questions and satisfy everyday practical needs and requirements of monastic life, and act as our boundaries, our buffers, like curbstones on a road. We can bounce from side to side, but as long as we are contained within those boundaries, we don't stray from that road or path. We are, after all, the same as lay people following the Noble Eightfold Path. There is no difference in that. NEKKHAMMA, another of these Pali words and another of the parami qualities, parami, that we develop through this lifetime and many lifetimes prior to this. NEKKHAMMA means renunciation or giving up. Specifically the household life. We renounce household life at ordination. We go forth into homelessness. When one becomes an anagarika, you go forth into homelessness, and then you become a novice monk, samanera, followed by sometime later full ordination, upasambhada. You become a bhikkhu, and a bhikkhu means homeless mendicant, one who is dependent on others, a beggar, actually, a homeless beggar. But not a recluse, not an escapee. Someone who is very much dependent on others. So in this sense, NEKKHAMMA, renunciation, as it is translated, giving up, is the interpretation of letting go. It isn't giving up responsibility. It is replacing those responsibilities of samsara, worldly life, with the responsibilities we have to those that support us. Those that support us with our everyday needs, which are quite simple. Just shelter. As you see here, I'm now in this nice kuti. I'm talking to you very early in the morning because late-ish last night I was told that the plumber is going to come to connect water, or the man is going to come and connect the water and the drainage up today, hopefully, this morning. So, as is uncertainty, I would normally talk to you later on in the morning, as uncertainty about my day's agenda is there, now is a good time for me to talk to you freely, knowing I won't be interrupted. And also a very nice part of the day that I enjoy very much, usually to meditate for 3 hours from 3 till 6 before the morning puja. As you can hear, it's very quiet. It's cool, no fan on. I have electricity, as you can see, otherwise you wouldn't be able to see me. And the bathroom that I refer to is going to be what I've become used to for many years now. It's coming up for 10 years since I've been living this, not as a monk. I've not been a monk for very long, fully ordained that is, but I've been living as a monk. I've been on the 8 precepts for getting on for about 10 years now, since 2015. And I've lived various forms of a mendicant's life, various forms of a renunciant's life, because at first I wasn't sure about Buddhism, but I was sure that samsara, the household life, was never bringing me contentment. I realized quite soon, prior to even hearing the word of the Buddha, that just trying to satisfy insatiable desires was fruitless, and just adding fuel to those desires and not bringing contentment. And learning that, the realization came that happiness is only a symptom of contentment. Like sadness is a symptom of being discontent. If you're content, you're happy. So to be able to be content with very little is to be able to be happy more easily satisfied. This is true happiness. So through a process of NEKKHAMMA, renunciation, giving up in one form or another, as a renunciant, I put this into practice. I tried it for myself, even before hearing that expression, and I found it did fulfill enormous it answered so many questions, put it that way, that I wasn't specifically asking, but were there and fueling that continual thirst and craving for life. Now, I didn't let go of wanting to live. I didn't let go of wanting to be happy. In fact, I found that through simplicity, as you can see, I live simply, that there was so much more happiness to be gained, to enjoy, than I was fruitlessly attempting to get in my previous existence, my previous life within this life. So renunciation, letting go, is about not hiding away, but changing the emphasis on what we hold dear to us. So we don't put everything down, we still hold on to values we call sila, moral virtue. We still hold on to opportunities we may have to practice samadhi, that is meditation, a way of allowing us to settle so our bodies can relax. Settle so our minds can become calm, tranquil. peaceful. We call in the Pali samatha, and thus enabling us to see clearly. This we call vipassana, often referred to as samatha vipassana, the other side of the coin to samadhi, a deep, absorbed state of meditation, a single pointed focus on one meditation object. Very often, the breath, breathing in, breathing out, just something as simple as that. Now we don't let go of that, because that is not burning us. That is not fueling insatiable desires. Watching the breath is seeing that we already have. But back to the beginning, our start in life, from an early age, our education is to strive on to gain qualifications, to gain knowledge, intellectual knowledge, learning, school exams, further education qualifications, university degrees, doctorates, PhDs, all of these things, to become something special in society, someone who's achieved, as well as a bank of intellectual knowledge. You may have written a whole bunch of theses or books even. You have letters after your name, titles before your name, wealth, success. Nothing wrong with this either, but this isn't pure contentment. This isn't happiness. That is why these people also keep sila, moral virtue, practice samadhi, meditation, and in addition to the intellectual knowledge they may have gained, try to apply that to what is more important. That is wisdom, panya. The wise use of any intellectual knowledge they may have, which can include also letting go of dogmatic ideas, of philosophies, of theories. Letting go of the need to prove one's self right, a sense of righteous indignation, a kind of anger that wells up within all of us when someone's opinion is, in our view, wrong, and ours is right. In fact, nobody's opinion is wrong, and our opinion is never right. Neither is theirs right. They're just different interpretations of what we're seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking about, and from that producing ideas, interpretations. But what the Buddha did so very carefully through 45 years of close study and examination with the development of his Sangha was put together this body of rules, the Vinaya, to help not only the monks and nuns, but the whole of society, giving them the 5 precepts to adhere to. And yes, to hold on to, but only those. And they figure throughout most religions and most societies. Those precepts of doing no harm, no killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, or taking of intoxicants. Because they're just, dare I say it, common sense, aren't they? to do no harm to ourselves or to others. I'll repeat that because I was fiddling. It's common sense to do no harm to ourselves or to others. That we can hold on to. By that very truth, though, not our own interpretation, debates or arguments on those ideas, fueled by intellectual knowledge, but by the very deep understanding and knowing of that, and that only, do no harm. This is a compassionate way of being. It is a way of developing loving kindness. So we hold on to those like a precious object, a fragile object, not too tightly. Like you'd hold an egg, if you hold it tightly, it will break. We hold it gently so as it doesn't fall and break, supporting it as it supports us. As Sila supports us, we hold it dear to our hearts. So renunciation, letting go, taking either the monastic path, where we're able to spend most of our time, most of our days, practicing meditation, developing that strength, that aspect of the Noble Eightfold Path, which in turn leads to a purer mind. Not having entertainment, not having distractions of what we call sampapalapa, everyday conversation about politics, the weather, our holidays, our new car, handbags, shoes, makeup, this kind of thing. But to only talk when necessary. Talking like this about the Dharma, or where one in the bathroom would like the water pipe to come out of the wall. It's okay. We don't take a vow of silence. Noble silence. So my bathroom will be, this bathroom will be quite simple. A hole in the floor, Asian style, for going to the toilet. By far my preference. Easier to clean, better for you, health-wise. We won't go into all of that. And simply a pipe coming out of the wall for the water. And that's all that's necessary. No power showers, no wash-hand basins, no bidets, no... What else does one have? Jacuzzis, baths. None of this is necessary. A plastic bucket, or if you're very fortunate, an earthenware or metal or wooden bucket. But these aren't so readily available these days. Unfortunately, plastic has become the norm. But a plastic bucket will do, and a little pail to move the water around. This is a washing machine for a monk. You put your robes into the plastic bucket to rinse them with water. And also every 15 days I boil up these robes in a big metal pot on a fire to clean and dye them with the heartwood of the jackfruit tree in the boiling shed, which I will show you again when we do that next, here. But in the meantime, just some cold water to rinse the robes when they get sweaty. As we only have this one set of robes, the upper robe, this outer robe over there, which is a double thickness one, and my lower robe. I do have a spare lower robe because I like to change that one daily. One's usually drying. This is a determined extra cloth, we call it. It's also my bathing cloth because we need a cloth, a robe, a lower robe to go into the water for washing ourselves. If we don't have, as I don't at the moment, our own bathroom, One has to remain decent in public. There is a whole sutta about that, how that came about, but I won't go into that now. But it's very interesting, the bathing cloth sutta. And the lady who donated the bathing cloths became an arahant, and she was a lay person. So lay people, and there are many of them mentioned, also attain to the final stage of enlightenment, arahantship. But you'll find all arahants are based on, as well as sila and samadhi and panya, this quality of nekkhamma, renunciation, being able to let go. So it isn't a throwaway flippant comment, oh, let go. It is a realization that if you don't hold something tightly, it will still be there, but you won't be holding your hand. If it's hot, put it down, otherwise it'll burn you. This is the principle. If it's heavy, put it down, otherwise you'll strain yourself. This is the principle. It's more a case of putting down, putting aside. This is letting go. It isn't absolving ourselves of all responsibility. It isn't escaping. It isn't hiding away. It's interpretation and appreciation of the way things are, the truth, the Four Noble Truths, in fact, that there's suffering, a cause of suffering. But there is an end to suffering, and this is through the path leading, the way to end of suffering, the path leading to the end of suffering, the Noble Eightfold Path. This is the way to Nibbana, the final attainment, where there is no desire, craving or thirst. We call tanha in the Pali, but only chanda, which is wholesome aspiration, wholesome desire for others and your own happiness and well-being. This is okay, because we've been taught by the Buddha that that is possible, that is attainable, but only one way, and that is through the Noble Eightfold Path, and only through practice. It cannot be learned from a book. It isn't a qualification. It isn't intellectual knowledge. It is experiential, and it is developed by ourselves, for ourselves, to be experienced. Experienced in this very life by us all. I hope there's something useful there for you. If not, you can let it go. Don't let it trouble you. Knowing that putting it down, it doesn't matter. But if there's something useful, then look after it, hold on to it, use it in your own practice, in our everyday lives. So until next time, be happy and stay well. Sukhi Hotu.